Welcome everyone, Tactical Lich here, and today we have a battle replay sent in by Coops versus Lamsauce King. In this Tomb Kings versus Kislev battle, we are seeing some Tomb King skeleton rush, with a front line of skeletons, warriors, and spears, and then backed up by some Kepra guard. For the monstrosity, we have a single Laser Eyes of the Desert Sepulchral Stalker Regiment of Renowned version, plus a single unit of Necropolis Knights guarding Grand Hierophant Katap, providing that my will be done to surrounding units, buffing their melee stats even more. Also, Katap is coming in with quite a few supporting abilities and spells, Incantation of Protection, Cursed Blades, as well as Sandstorm. Now, for the abilities, passive-wise, we have My Will Be Done and also the Lich Staff, a very crucial ability that can constantly spam cooldown debuffs, denying your opponent from spell cast with the increased cooldown. For the mobility, we have a single Skeleton Chariots, 2 Necro Horsemen on each flank, and then also a Vanguard deployed Skeleton Horseman on the far side. For the Kislevite army, going for a numbers approach as well, a front line of armored Kossars. These guys have been buffed in the most recent patch and are doing substantially better than before. At the back there, a lot of Kossars with their bows and arrows. Not the greatest damage output, but the numbers will try to make up for that lack of armor piercing. For the armor piercing department, 2 snow leopards providing some anti-large armor piercing attacks, and also a bunch of winged lances mixed in with Kossovite dervishes for a lot more mobility and mass to pin down enemies, monsters, and whatnot. Leading the army would be Zarina Katerin, coming in with Ice Maiden Kiss, Ice Sheet, and Frost Blade. That's it for the army builds, and now let's get the battle going. Normally, the meta of Tomb Kings is just spamming Ushabtis, but here they will be rushing with all the bones. On the side there, the Vanguard deployed skeleton horses got caught by the Kossovite dervishes and winged lances, but then the Necro horsemen will be quickly responding. Yes, the skeletons will be obliterated, but that also means that the winged lances and dervishes were not able to get a charge on the Necro horseman, who has better melee stats than both the Kossovite dervishes and the winged lances. All they can do, the winged lances here, is just to rely on their armor to hold out in this engagement, but they can't actually get some cost-effective damage as long as they're not getting that charge of 70 charge bonus. Now on the other side, something similar is happening with Necro horsemen pinning down all those winged lances and dervishes while the skeletons are pushing. Actually, there is one tomb guard that I forgot to highlight in the army build phase. And we can see that in the front line, everything is going full motion here with the Necropolis Knight smashing into these poor spear Kossars who got hit by a root sandstorm by Katap himself, slamming into the fray with his chariot and doing some pretty nasty damage overall. And quickly, these Kossars with spears will be breaking. Even their By Our Blood effect won't save them because enough models have died in the unit, so they no longer have the mass to tie down enemy cavalry, especially monstrous cavalry like the Necropolis Knights, who are now tanking all the shots from all kinds of arrows. They have 110 armor plus their 30% missile block chance, and also their 40% physical resistance of the Naru's Incantation of Protection means that most of the non-armor piercing missiles from the Kossars are negated by their resistance stacked together. While the front line here, Tomb Kings are just pinning down all the Kossars, the armored Kossars. Yes, they are quite tanky and should be able to outgrind all those skeleton infantry, but right now, if they're fighting Tomb Gods who does have some elite melee stats, they are not actually getting any benefit from these engagements. While at the back here, Eyes of the Desert taking quite a bit of noticeable damage from the Kossars' arrows. They should be holding just fine for now with their 80 armor. While another unit of Kossars with their bows and arrows got compromised by the Necropolis Knights, who got hit by another Naru's Incantation of Protection. We want to spam spells as often as possible with Katap to spam his Lich Staff, constantly providing that plus 15-second cooldown duration debuff. So right now, Zarina was not able to use too many of her abilities to support this fight. On the flanks there, the engagements are still going. Not too much is happening right now with both the Necro horses just tying down the Kossovite dervishes and the winged lances, although with the help of the snow leopards, the right flank of the Tomb Kings are slightly collapsing with the Necro Horsemen dying. However, in the middle, things are going just fine with the Necropolis Knights compromising all of these Cossacks at the back. Another Root Sandstorm hitting actually 2 units of Cossacks in total, doing some very efficient damage. And Katarine, without any troop support, got exposed to a barrage of laser eyes, and her HP is quickly dropping. Even poisoned as well. Now she has to get away because right now the Kepler Guard are in pursuit. She does not want to get caught in those anti-infantry units, so she needs to get out of there as soon as possible. Now at the back there, a summoned Ushabti is continuously tying down all those Kislev firepower, and the balance of power is in the favor of Tomb Kings. Some of the skeletons have crumbled, but so are the remaining winged lances and Kosovo dervishes. The Kislev cavalry on this flank already suffered heavy casualties despite only fighting a single Necro horseman the whole time. There's not a lot of maneuver in this game. Mostly you can see just the armored cavalry crushing the enemy infantry. There's also another Necro horseman that got peeled off from the left flank here, now running down the tattered Cossacks. A very nice use of cavalry so far. Sometimes you don't need any intense micro to move them everywhere, just need them to be fighting a cost-efficient fight, like the Necro horses wasting the time of the more expensive winged lances. As a result, the Kislevites do not have any mobility to intercept Katep on his chariot, nor do they have anything to counteract the armored cavalry rolling through their front lines. The Leopards alone cannot deal with all these constructs. On the flanks there, the armored Cossacks are clearing out hordes of the skeleton infantry, getting over 100 kills, but mostly just on skeleton chaff. So even if they get those kills, that is not going to be enough to work down all these Necropolis Knights and the Eyes of Desert. You can see that another spell is cast onto the Necropolis Knights, this time the Jav's Incantation of Curse Blades, giving them bonus versus large to beat down the Snow Leopards with even more deadly efficiency, while over here the Eyes of Desert getting hit by a bit of a Neru's Incantation of Protection to mitigate all those incoming missiles, while they themselves will be beating down Tsarina Katarine. With 29 melee attack and 38 melee defense, that's not going to be too effective of a melee engagement, so they will be backing off. At the back there, the Necro Horsemen are fighting some winged lances. I assume the winged lances got the charge because now the Necro Horsemen are suffering quite a bit of damage. Still, they have done some decent work in this battle, getting over 100 kills and some good value. While over here, Tsarina Katarine got blasted away by all the Sepulchral Stalkers. Eyes of the Desert, really one of the deadliest missile units in the game if they can get hold of their target. And now all that's left for Kislev are just a bunch of scattered infantry all over the field. Even the Snow Leopard is gonna be worked down by the Necropolis Knights, with that bonus versus large from the Jav's Incantation of Curse Blades, while there's still a very healthy Kepler Guard here, still almost half health and 77 models left, able to cut away most of these remaining Kislev infantry. With the death of Tsarina, everything is breaking for the Kislev, and the Bony Boys will be taking this victory. Now for the army performances, the Tomb King's army Katep did some pretty good damage with his Sandstorm, while the Eyes of Desert laser-eyed the Tsarina to death. For the skeletons here, chariots got hunted down by the enemy cavalry, while the skeleton infantry, some did well, the others not so much. After all, they are just skeletons. But the elite ones, the Tomb Guard and the Kepler Guard, survived throughout the entire game and did some pretty good damage on the Kepler Guard. This unit getting over 1,300 gold worth of damage value. The monsters also did some pretty good damage outside of the Sepulchral Stalkers. As you can see here, the Necropolis Knights still having quite a bit of health left and getting over 1k worth of damage value. As for the cavalry, the Necro Horsemen did well, earning back basically most of their cost, mostly pinning down the enemy cavalry and grinding away their health with their slightly better melee stats than the Winged Lances. After all, Winged Lances, one of the most mediocre heavy cavalry in the entire game. Of course, they still managed to earn back their cost due to their high armor and decent shock damage if they get the charge, but throughout the entire game, they were just being pinned down and distracted by the Necro Horsemen and Skeleton Horses. Infantry-wise, the armored Cossacks did some very mediocre damage as well. Two of them survived to the late game, used up all their ammo, but that's about it. They were mostly just fighting skeleton chaff, so it's not like they were able to get much value from the engagement. One of the snow leopards did really poor in battle, but the other did manage to earn back a chevron and its own cost, while the Cossars with their bows and arrows, while their missiles can do some nice work against enemy monstrosities, they lack the armor piercing to handle the heavily armored Necropolis Knights, especially when they're protected by the Naru's incantation of protection. Perhaps cutting out the 2 snow leopards and bringing in 2 units of Streltsies instead would be a better choice here, with their armor piercing fire to focus down enemy constructs. As for the Kosovo dervishes, the chaff mobility of the Kislavite army, they also didn't do much here, just wasting their effort onto some skeleton cavalry. Zarina's value is also really poor because Katab's Lich Staff has been constantly limiting her spellcast, so in the end, Kislev was facing a massive issue being punched through by the armored cavalry, and also lacking spell support due to all those cooldown debuffs means that they were not able to outgrind the Tomb King's army, especially with a lack of armor piercing against the constructs. And yeah, that's it for today's battle. I hope you enjoyed, and if you want to see more, be sure to hit the subscribe button and keep an eye out for new video uploads. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich, signing out.